Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another stream. A very early stream today, for sure. But yeah, guys, today, of course, I want to talk about Bitcoin. Give you guys a little update what's happening with Bitcoin today, this morning, and I want to show you guys a fair few charts, of course, as usual. Um, but it's looking pretty good for Bitcoin, right? And you know, right now, okay, is in fact a huge opportunity right now on what's happening with Bitcoin. Okay, just a sec. Okay, my mic's working. I just have to make sure my mic's working and everything like that, so you guys can hear me. But yeah, guys, Bitcoin right now is currently still at $30,000, still holding, at 30K, which is absolutely amazing to see. 30,400, just under 30,500, and it seems like Bitcoin is sort of okay. Can't really break above $32,000, right? We haven't seen that yet, right? We've seen Bitcoin touch $31,000, okay, last April, 14th of April, and ever since then, Bitcoin did in fact have a correction down to the downside, and ever since then, right, you guys can clearly see Bitcoin has in fact been performing this downtrend, and then just recently, a couple of days ago, we did in fact finally break above this resistance lines from this downtrend, right? Massively, you guys can clearly see that. And we saw Bitcoin pump all the way up to around $31,400, okay? And then it had a small correction once again. And then literally just yesterday, we actually saw Bitcoin touch 31K again, but then a breakdown once again. Now we're currently at 30,400. So it seems like to me that this resistance line of $31,000 is pretty strong, right? It's pretty strong. So once Bitcoin actually breaks above $31,000, and we see Bitcoin at 32K, I think that's when, guys, that's a signal when we will in fact see Bitcoin continue to pump up to the upside. And this rally that we have in fact been seeing all of 2023 will continue on to the upside, right? You guys can just clearly see that. So it's looking pretty good for bullish. It's looking pretty good for Bitcoin. And we know Bitcoin is up 12%, right, this month alone in June. I'm actually surprised, right? I'm actually really surprised because, we know Bitcoin, right, doesn't really, perform that great for this month in June, especially in June, right? We know what happened in previous years. Just last year in 2022 in June, we saw Bitcoin drop massively, like over 30%, 37%, right? Almost 40%, which is absolutely insane. And the reason why Bitcoin dropped that much last year in June was because of many reasons, right? We saw a fair few crypto exchanges going bankrupt, right? Shutting down, which caused the markets to drop, obviously. And not just that, but also, something like Terra Luna, right? Who remembers when Terra Luna collapsed? Also, Bitcoin dropped massively, and of course, Ethereum and many more other altcoins in the market. Pretty much that time of the year around May and June was pretty bad times, right? It really was. Who remembers that? And I told you guys many times, right? If you survived all of 2022, you can literally survive anything in crypto because, in my opinion, 2022 was a hectic year, right? It really was. A lot of us got beat up. We went through so much. Okay, there was so much FUD and just negative things, and that's what happens in a bear market, guys. Right? That's exactly what happens in a bear market, and that's why you should really ignore the nonsense and the FUD, um, ignore the noise, and just continue on to stack more and hodl. Right? Just hold your positions. Do not panic sell. Okay. But yes, I'm surprised. Right? This month, Bitcoin is up 12%. Surprisingly, you know what I mean? So that's absolutely amazing to see for Bitcoin, and I think since June is in fact coming up to an end, it's going to be July very soon in the next couple of days. I think this month should end off in the green. So we will see, right? We will see. Bitcoin is still holding up very strong, at $30,000. So that's obviously amazing to see as always. But the markets right now are in fact having a slight drop. Nothing too crazy though. Okay, nothing too crazy. Bitcoin Cash is actually having a slight drop today. Okay, down 10% for the past 24 hours. We know Bitcoin Cash for the past few days has in fact been pumping. I remember seeing Bitcoin Cash pumping like over 100%, like 103%, right? So right now, It is in fact having a slight drop. Yesterday it was in fact at around $207, so it was above $200. Now it's below that, but still, in my opinion, right, Bitcoin Cash is still holding up very, very well. Okay, overall, right, it's still up 80% for the past week, so that's insane still. But you guys can clearly see overall the markets are not really moving. Uniswap though, for some odd reason, Uniswap today is up 13%. Uniswap is absolutely pumping up, guys. Okay, you guys can just clearly see that. Back up $5, so that's great to see for Uniswap. I used to buy Uniswap, but I actually sold majority of them. I don't hold any Uniswap anymore, sadly, but it's all good. Moved on to bigger things, but yeah, overall, guys, the market is not really moving, and you also clearly see some things are in fact slightly dropping. The global crypto market cap is currently at 1.18 trillion. The dominance for Bitcoin is now below 50%, 49.9%, right? But it will bounce back up. But everything today seems sort of slow. Okay, not much movements at all for the past 24 hours. You guys can clearly see that, but you know, some altcoins are in fact having a decent pump. Okay, they really are. Like Avalanche 2%, right? Uniswap 13%, Filecoin 2%. Okay, so yeah, you guys get the gesture. Not much movements though, but in the stream, I want to show you guys a fair few charts. So short term, this is exactly what we should be seeing for Bitcoin, right? For June and July, the upcoming week, it's going to be crucial. You know what I mean? It should be very, very crucial for Bitcoin. Okay. So I'm saying as of right now, buying Bitcoin at 30K is still cheap, right? We know Bitcoin is nowhere near its previous all-time highs, not even halfway through its previous all-time highs, which was 69K. So obviously, it's still a great buy right now for Bitcoin, right? So short term, okay, for this chart, this is possible. This is very realistic, right? We're going to see this leg up continue on to rise up to the upside, right? So we're going to see Bitcoin reach, once, Bitcoin reaches up $32,000, it's going to go up to 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and it's just going to continue on from there. And of course, along the lines, when Bitcoin reaches these price targets, Bitcoin's obviously going to have some corrections. It's going to consolidate, move on its side, like what it usually does, right? But it's always going to continue up from here, guys, right? It always will. So be excited for that for all my Bitcoin holders. Now, we are in fact seeing a breakout clearly. Okay, we hit bottom right here. Okay, November and December, that's where we hit bottom in 2022. And then 2023, we saw Bitcoin pump like crazy. You guys can clearly see that all the way up to around $24,000. And then it had a correction back down to 20K. And then it had a breakout, a massive breakout. Okay, you guys can clearly see that. Okay, a breakout. And then it went to around $28,000, sort of consolidating around there. And then it went up all the way up to around $31,000. And that's when we saw Bitcoin have this downtrend for the next few weeks, right? And then finally we had a breakout once again, okay? And it's going to continue on from the upside. So clearly, guys, you guys can just clearly see from this chart, it's all ups from here. For all the people that think, we're going to see Bitcoin drop back down to, $25,000, $23,000, $20,000, even lower than 20K, very unlikely to happen. Most likely it's not going to happen. There's no way in hell we're going to see Bitcoin drop back down to $20,000. You guys can just clearly see from this pattern, right? It's a clear, pattern up to the upside, right? It really is. We have already hit bottom, so there's no way in hell we're going to see Bitcoin drop massively. And just remember, we had so much FUD and negative news 2 weeks ago with the SEC, causing the market to drop slightly, right? We saw Coinbase and Binance being sued by the SEC, and of course the SEC were in fact naming a fair few altcoin securities, and that obviously caused Bitcoin to drop and altcoins especially to drop. But now 2 weeks later or so, right, here we are, and Bitcoin is obviously recovering and altcoins are also recovering as well. And I told you guys at that very moment, with all that FUD with the SEC, I told you guys to not panic. They want you to sell. They want you to be panicked, to be fearful about Bitcoin and crypto, right? But just remember, with all that FUD, Bitcoin did in fact slowly recover. And here we are, a couple of weeks later, Bitcoin is now back at $30,000, okay? And altcoins are in fact slowly recovering as well. So I told you guys to ignore the FUD, right? Completely. So Bitcoin will always recover, and you guys can just clearly see it in this chart, right? It's like clockwork. It really is. So you guys can clearly see in 2011, we saw Bitcoin peak $31. $31. And then it dropped, okay, bottom, and it was at like $2, okay, in 2012. And then it absolutely pumped all the way up to around $1,200, over $1,200 back in 2013, right? And that was massive for Bitcoin, absolutely massive. And then it dropped again, right? And its bottom was in 2015 and it was at $162. And then we saw it pump. And this is where things get very interesting, right? 2017, okay? That's when a lot of people were in fact FOMOing into, Bitcoin, okay? Because for the first time, we actually saw Bitcoin break over, $5,000, $10,000, and it went all the way up to around 19K, almost 20K at the end of 2017, right? Who remembers? Okay, good times. And then it dropped all the way down to, $3,000. And people thought this was it for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin will never go back up to 19K ever again. No, it didn't stop there. Bitcoin kept on going. Okay, we know previous years in 2021, we saw Bitcoin peak 69K, almost 70K, almost 6 figures, 100K. So just think about that, right? And then Bitcoin had a bottom of $15,000. And people thought right now when Bitcoin was at 50K, everyone was just saying, oh yeah, this is it for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin will never go back up to its previous all-time highs. News channels, right? Everyone was just talking so negatively about Bitcoin and crypto, right? Everyone was just sort of like against it now because it has dropped. A lot of people don't get we have different cycles, a bull market and a bear market, right? It's a whole cycle, and you guys can clearly see that throughout the years, right? So we hit bottom of $15,000, and right now we are in fact seeing a recovery. Obviously, right now Bitcoin's at 30K, and now it's going to continue up to the upside, just like what it did in previous years. We know the Bitcoin halving is obviously right around the corner, 2024. Okay, so that's going to happen around April or May. And once that happens, we know what's going to happen with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is obviously going to skyrocket, and of course, altcoins. And this is why I always tell you guys many times to stack. This is literally your opportunity right now. Okay, once in a lifetime opportunity to buy Bitcoin at a cheap price. We're still in a bear market. We're not 100% yet in a bull market just yet, but I will say this, that we are in fact, in the early stages of the next bull market. That's what I will say, but we're not 100% there yet, just yet. So we are still in a bear market, guys, which gives us time to buy Bitcoin, but not just Bitcoin, but these other altcoins at a cheap price, right? Bitcoin is nowhere near its previous all-time highs. Please understand that, guys, right? So it's a great time to buy. Don't miss this opportunity, guys, okay? Don't miss this opportunity, because eventually, short term, in the next upcoming few months, we will in fact see Bitcoin break 40K, 50K, 60K, and of course reach back up to its previous all-time highs, which was 69K, and reach 70K, reaching a new all-time high. And of course, eventually Bitcoin's going to go way higher than that. It's going to go to 100K, right? I've been talking as many times, the year 2024, okay? Towards the end of that year, I do in fact see Bitcoin reaching $100,000. I really do, right? It seems like it's always towards the end of the year. You know what I mean? So, for example, 2017, right? We saw Bitcoin peak 19K. Okay, so around Christmas time, Bitcoin was absolutely pumping in 2017, right? And then, of course, in 2021, okay, November, that's when we saw Bitcoin absolutely rise up to 69K. It's always towards the end of the year, right? So 2024, towards the end of that year, I do in fact see a 100K Bitcoin at least, okay, at least. So that's that. Now, here's another chart that I want to show you guys, a retest and a bullish crossover. Every single time we have this bullish crossover, we see these retests and Bitcoin tends to pump up. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now, okay, with this pattern that we have in fact been seeing all of 2023, with this leg up, right, with these pumps that we have in fact been seeing. So we are in fact seeing this bullish crossover, and of course we are in fact seeing a retest. So this is very bullish for Bitcoin, okay, and I'm expecting Bitcoin to continue to pump up to the upside, right? So this is looking very, very good for Bitcoin, right? It really, really is. And This is a huge opportunity right now. A huge opportunity right now to buy Bitcoin at 30K before it breaks 40K. That's what I gotta tell you guys, right? So long term, okay, there's nothing wrong with buying Bitcoin right now at $30,000 because we know where Bitcoin is going to be heading long term, right? We know, okay, like in the next bull market, especially in the year 2025, we're gonna see Bitcoin well above 100K easily. Okay, we can. I'm pretty sure we can all agree to that, right? So it's looking pretty good for Bitcoin, right? It really is, and of course, the future is looking pretty bright for Bitcoin as well. Now, shout out to Stock Money Lizards as usual. I love his charts. And this chart, I like because you guys know I'm a big believer of history, repeating itself, sort of, and of course rhyming. It's like clockwork, right? So what Bitcoin did back in 2019 and 2020 is what we should be seeing for this year and next year in 2023 and 2024. So we know Bitcoin reached an all-time high in 2017, which was $19,000, and then a breakdown and hit a bottom. And then we know in 2021, same thing, right? It hit an all-time high, 69K, and it hit bottom of 15K, right? And then we are in fact seeing a small teaser pump up to the upside, just like what it did in 2019, right? So we are in fact, what we are in fact in right now, what we are in fact seeing is what happened in 2019 for Bitcoin, right? It's going to happen for Bitcoin this year in 2023, okay? And of course, that means we are in fact seeing a pre-halving, right? We're not officially in the halving, right? So once the halving actually happened for Bitcoin in 2020, right? Our most previous halving event for Bitcoin, it broke resistance. And once it did, that's why we saw Bitcoin parabolic, right? So that means, guys, our fourth halving, okay, it's going to happen around May or even April, right? That's what most people are in fact saying, around April. So it could be April most likely. A halving, once that happens, okay, we're obviously going to see Bitcoin break the resistance and have a bull market, right? Have a bull run pretty much, just like what it did in 2020 and of course early of 2021. That is what exactly we will in fact be seeing for 2024 and of course 2025, right? So time will tell, we will see, but history does in fact repeat itself massively. So what we're seeing right now, okay, will happen for Bitcoin. So obviously you guys can see it still gives us an opportunity to buy Bitcoin at these levels, right? At these low levels. So don't miss this once in a lifetime opportunity. And you guys are probably wondering, when do you buy and sell? Well, I've been telling you guys many times, you want to buy low and sell high. A lot of people like to do the complete opposite, right? They want to chase those green candles. They like to firm it in. It's just how our human brains operate. But we should be doing the complete opposite, right? We should be buying low and selling high. But a lot of people like to buy high and sell low, right? They buy high, and then once Bitcoin is dropping, they panic, and then they panic sell, right? And that's how you lose money, guys, right? So if you guys are in fact buying high and it drops, I would considering just to hodl it, right? Don't panic sell, don't press that sell button, because once you press that sell button, then technically, yes, you lost money, right? So when you buy high, okay, and it goes low, you might as well just hold at this point. There's no point selling, you know what I mean? There really isn't, right? Because eventually it could potentially bounce back up, right? Especially long term, okay? But a lot of people are in fact here for short term. They want to make that money. So that's that. So this chart really does show you guys, okay, when to buy and sell, and clearly, right, we are in fact in the buy area right now. Okay, this is where we are right now, and clearly it's indicating that we should be buying, right? You guys can just clearly, see that. And this was back in June 19th when Bitcoin was at 26K. Now it's at 30K. Still, like I said many times, we're nowhere near its previous all-time high. So right now it's still a great buy for Bitcoin, right? It really, really is. So don't miss this opportunity, guys. Don't miss this opportunity on buying Bitcoin at 30K, because imagine Bitcoin short term in the next upcoming few months reaches back to 40K, 50K, 60K, its previous all-time highs, and reaches on your all-time high. And at that time, you would tell yourself, why didn't I buy Bitcoin when it was at 20K or when it was even at $30,000? I should have bought then. You don't want to have that same regret. So I'm telling you right now, okay, not financial advice, but this is your once in a lifetime opportunity right now to buy Bitcoin. We are still in the buy era. We're still in the accumulation phase. Okay, we really are. So we all should be at least accumulating, at least dollar cost averaging, right? into Bitcoin. We all should be buying, guys, is what I'm trying to say. We are, in fact, still in the buy area. Okay, we really are. So don't miss this once in a lifetime opportunity to buy Bitcoin when it's still cheap. Yes, it's still cheap, guys. Even though, yes, Bitcoin has, in fact, been pumping for the past few months, it's still cheap in my opinion, okay? It really is. So don't miss this opportunity, okay? Now, I also want to show you guys this, Michael Saylor. We know Michael Saylor is a Bitcoin maximus, okay? And he is, in fact, the CEO, okay? He's the CEO of MicroStrategy. Okay, we all know that. And MicroStrategy is a company that has, in fact, been buying and accumulating into Bitcoin. I believe it's the biggest company that holds Bitcoin, I believe, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. And you guys can clearly see this is the performance since August 10th, 2020. Okay, when MicroStrategy was, in fact, stacking and buying and adopting into Bitcoin and versus gold, right? So you guys can clearly see the performance ever since August 10th of 2020 to where we are now. Bitcoin has outperformed gold so much. Now, gold, guys, there's nothing wrong with investing into gold. That's what I want to say, guys, in my opinion, because I know gold has store of value. That's one good thing about gold, right? It has store of value, right? And it's not as volatile as Bitcoin. But the thing I don't like about gold is it doesn't move. It doesn't move as much as Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin is really volatile, but it moves so much more than gold, right? And we know Bitcoin has only been around for over 13 years, whereas gold has been around for literally decades, like for the longest time, like years and years and years, decades on, right? Gold has been around forever. And yes, it's been holding its value, but gold hasn't really been moving. Like it's down 6% ever since 2020 of August, right? So just think about that, right? Gold has not really been moving, whereas Bitcoin, you guys can see on the other hand, has moved 159%. Think about that, right? So that's what I was telling you guys. I think Bitcoin, in my opinion, is a better long-term investment. Okay, it really is. Other than gold, like gold, it holds its value, its price, but it doesn't move. You know what I mean? It doesn't move. I believe gold right now is like at $1,900. I believe. I'm not quite sure, but you guys can just clearly see that Bitcoin versus gold. Okay, it doesn't compare. You know what I mean? It really doesn't, right? Obviously, the winner here is Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Gold does not move at all. So let's just say MicroStrategy decided to, buy gold instead of Bitcoin. They would have lost way more, right? So just think about that. Pretty interesting. Now, the Bitcoin monthly returns is currently at 12%, 12.1%. So we are still above 12%, which is great to see as usual. But yeah, this month we are in fact coming up to an end. 1, 2, 3, 4. So around another like 4 days or so. Coming up to July. So we will pretty much end off this month, I'm pretty sure, in the greens, which is absolutely amazing to see for the first time in like 3 years. Because you guys can see in previous years, we did end off this month in June in the reds. You guys can clearly see in previous years, 2022, it was down 37%. Crazy, you know what I mean? Bad times. So like I said many times, if you survived all of 2022, you can survive anything, right, in crypto, because that was a terrible year, literally. Okay, so much blood on the street, right? So much crashes and FUD and negative news. And if you survive that entire year, you can literally survive anything in crypto, 100%. So it's looking pretty good for Bitcoin. We are in fact slowly recovering. July should be a pretty decent month as well. You guys can clearly see in previous years it was in the greens, right? So I'm expecting July to perform absolutely amazing as well. And I do in fact see a 40K Bitcoin, right? Very, very soon, 100%. But it's looking pretty good so far. Bitcoin is still holding up very well. Altcoins are still holding up very, very well as well. And if you guys haven't seen yesterday's stream, I told you guys, okay, this meme coin right here was pumping, right? Like, I don't know how much. I think it was like 40% or 50%, somewhere around there. And now it's down 21%. So this just shows you guys how much these low cap meme coins just dump, like it's crazy, you know what I mean? And that's why I always tell you guys to not chase green candles. Like if you guys see a meme coin pumping, I don't care if it's 10%, 20% for the day, right? 30%, 50%, over 100%. Don't chase that green candle because eventually it will, drop, right? It will eventually drop. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Okay, Pepe is up 3%. It's actually still holding up pretty well in my opinion. It's pumped, okay, obviously a couple of days ago, okay. And I thought Pepe lost its steam, but I guess it didn't because it's still holding up very well. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. But yeah, like I was saying, guys, this is literally your once in a lifetime opportunity to, buy Bitcoin. And look at that. Bitcoin is actually dropping as I'm streaming. 30,200 right now. So you guys can clearly see for the past 15 minutes. We are in fact in 15-minute time zone right now. And you guys can clearly see that Bitcoin is in fact slightly dropping even more. So we will see what's going to happen. But it's looking pretty good for Bitcoin, right? Everything's still holding up very strong, which is great. But I really don't want you guys to miss this opportunity, right, on Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin is literally, the future of money, right? It really is. We know nowadays a lot of people like to use debit cards, credit cards, Apple Pay, PayPal to pay for things, but Bitcoin is going to replace all that pretty much in the future. We're going to start seeing more people start using Bitcoin to pay for things other than cash, of course. Who uses cash nowadays, right? A lot of people use, their cards, right? Debit cards, and that's all digital pretty much, right? You can pay through your phone, a simple card. And I believe crypto will, soon enough replace all that in the future. That's just my personal opinion, right? So that being said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you guys haven't seen my most previous videos today, you should definitely check them out. I talk about Bitcoin, so you should definitely check them out. I really will appreciate that. But guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give thumbs up, subscribe. If you guys have not yet already, I really would appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys all in my next video. Have a blessed day, guys.